Now I've said about the hacking and the fact that whatever device I got, they was already in it. And I couldn't quite work out how they was doing it. I didn't have scars all over me like I do now. Anyway, how the predictive text was, well, is basically your database, how I understand it. Only it wasn't my database, it was theirs. And it started working a little bit differently than it would do normally. It was actually coming up straight sentences, conversations, only sentences and conversations that I hadn't had. Sentences and conversations that was all about killing me, raping me, attacking me, robbing me, about filming me, about killing my son. I could see conversations going on, how they were triangulating me and hunting me down. And it was confirmed through Google Maps, which I shared with my ex, who then shared it with all his friends, probably to coordinate me, but I could see what they was doing, so, you know. So yeah, I could see what they was doing, and they was, yeah, there was a thing of excitement going on. This is when I first left, and I said I wasn't going back. I mean, I had the database. I didn't have to go back to find out anything more about how much of my life they've robbed and what they're up to and why they're hunting me down. I didn't have to. I had everything I needed. So yeah, I'm going through it. I've been going through it for weeks, and the stuff that I found out was, quite frankly, revolting, twisted stuff. All about attacking me and raping me and pimping out her daughter, sleeping with her own daughter. About my ex sleeping with her daughter, which was, at the time, she must have been about 14. I assume, I'm sure that I must have been told somewhere before I left that that's how old she was. I mean, I'm talking really depraved, awful shit. Anyway, on this particular day, they are hunting me down. They're going to come in the house and they're going to show me the photographs and the series that they've taken of me. They said, and she'll do anything. She'll do anything we tell her to once we show her these pictures. First of all, we'll go in there and we'll take her clothes off so she can't leave. No, we'll go in and we'll kill her son. Then we'll take her clothes off so she can't leave. And she will sign. She will sign. So, yeah, you could say very early on, I knew it was about money. I knew it was mine. And I knew they needed my signature. Anyway, I see them estimating their arrival in London between 6 and 8 o'clock, I think it was. Goodness, you're talking about 6 years ago now. 2019. I can't remember. It might have been between 4 and 7 o'clock or something like that. Anyway, it was about 10 to the earliest time. And it sounded, listening to the way that they was talking, that they was already here and they was waiting or just gathering their thoughts. They had they'd gathered at a friend's house or at a pub or something like that, and they was discussing what they was going to do. I couldn't get my son to listen to me, so I went to the police. I mean, I had enough in these messages, I thought, to prove what they was doing. It's not like your predictive text spits that kind of stuff out. I mean, come on. And I've got to admit they were shocked by what they were seeing, but they said that they can't take that as evidence. And I said, well, maybe you ought to make some inquiries then, because you're talking about my son's life and this ain't something I'm going to mess about with. Well, it turned out that they wasn't going to do anything about it at all. No surprise there. And I done my nut and they arrested me. And this is where Coffee herself, I think she was at this point Minister of Health or something like that. I could be mistaken. But anyway, it was a big chunky bird wearing a wig and said her name was Coffee. So you take it, who looked extremely like Coffee, the MP. Okay. So yeah, she came in with 2 other women, very much like herself. I don't think they were wigs they were wearing, but they looked very similar. Social services, NHS, social services or something or other. And they was explaining to me how I was, they think that I'm just a little bit too upset, and they think that I may have a slight anxiety disorder. And I said, anybody who doesn't have anxiety about these nutcases that have tried to kill me, left me with brain damage, I mean, let's not mince our words. Hunted me down, been filming me in my own home, threatening me, and now they're planning on killing my son, and they're already here in London. I mean, the best thing I could do was get away from him, because then that saves them killing him. they ain't going to kill him while I'm up and about, and they know I have a big mouth and they was never going to shut me up. Yeah, they did know that. I have a big mouth when it matters. I'm actually a very quiet person. Yeah. So anyway, they knew what they was going to do, and I didn't need to convince them of anything. And they didn't have to make any inquiries. You know, they just, you know, you go to make a complaint at a police station, you've got reasonable grounds and that to believe that somebody's trying to kill you, and they stick you in a mental hospital. Well, this was where my thinking was then. Even though I knew there was a lot of money involved, even though, I suppose I knew too much. I didn't know that I knew too much, I think, at this point. So yeah, they got me in there, and they was drugging me up. I thought it was very important just to stay calm, keep my head down, do my 28 days, and get out of there and sort this stuff out. Of course, the doctors don't want to know anything about what happened. All they really wanted to know was anything that could incriminate me. Yeah, they jumped on the hacking thing like I had some kind of psychosis. And I was showing them, you know, they could see what I could see, but I had psychosis. Anyway, they were drugging me. And lucky enough, I had a real tribunal, and the guy said that it was perfectly reasonable for me to be extremely concerned about somebody hunting me down, tracking me, stalking me, who'd already tried to kill me. And you know, I am quite capable of holding a conversation. I wasn't confused in the slightest. I hadn't hurt anybody, neither did I intend to. Or myself. So that absolutely dissolves their grounds for having me there. And when they went to, they said that I could go home. I didn't have to hang about. I didn't have to take their medication, and I didn't have to speak to them ever again. Only when I went up to the ward to get my stuff, they refused to even let me out. My son was doing his nut on the other side of the door, and there was a really big commotion. And I had another one of my sons downstairs waiting for me. And, yeah, in the end, they let me out. But they wanted me to go into this room, and there was orderlies or whatever you call them, big muscles standing there like that waiting for me. Obviously, I was never going to get out of there. I didn't know why. I mean, the doctor was lying through his teeth about things. I said to the tribunal, we haven't had a 5-minute conversation, me and this doctor. How he knows all this about me, or supposes all these things about me, is totally ridiculous. And why is it so important to him? But I didn't notice anything particularly out of the ordinary at this point. I was just getting the messages through my phone where they was all highly excited about me being in the hospital. Obviously it was their doing. I think at this point they'd wiped the database of everything they'd said in the past. Now they was just talking directly to me. Or I just got the odd sentence or the odd... Oh no, at this point, no, I was still getting the whole lot. Yeah, and they wasn't talking to me. They was talking to each other about me being in there. It was later on when I went back to my friend's house, because I couldn't stay at home, because I knew if I was with my son, I'm putting my son in danger. Oh, I felt that that's what it was, so I wasn't going to do that. I remember it being absolutely ridiculous. I'm staying there with my friends, and my friends started acting all crazy. And I actually said, like, to my phone, you know, what is this? How deep, and I'm speaking to my ex, how deep have you got yourself into some shit? Because seriously, this is ridiculous. Only it wasn't him. She answered and said, oh, it's my daughter. I owe a lot of money and I need the money, otherwise they're going to take my daughter. I mean, seriously, I never liked this girl, and I'd never spoken to this girl. But she obviously is a person who doesn't care about anyone or anything. Has no moral compass. As, you know, to think that you could talk about, that you could do it in the first place, let alone talk about it. I mean, what am I saying? Shocking, awful stuff. Anyway, I started staying in the park. I couldn't go home, I couldn't stay at my friends. This was summertime, 2019. And then this is where my ex told me to freeze my, oh no, he said to shut down my business account. I think he was going to leave her. Not that I was ever going to have him back after finding out how he was drugging me and poisoning me, how his poly group of friends were invited in when I was drugged to rape me and beat me. I mean, that was never going to happen. But I did want him away from these people, and I did feel like he was in over his head. And I mean, he tried to kill me. I don't even know who I was kidding at the time that there was even a human being in there still. I think, you know, I'm pretty perceptive, and but I had this weakness where, should I believe this or should I believe that? And I believe what I want to believe. I mean, I think that's a human frailty. And I suppose I wanted to believe there was a human being in there that was worth saving, but I was wrong. Anyway, he was telling me he's got all this money and he gets £200,000 a month on top of all that. And that's when she came in and said, you're going to tell her how you're getting this money. Anyway, he was saying to me to shut down my bank account and all money will go into my bank account. Well, I went to the phone box and I did get through to the Halifax, and I said to him, is there a business account that you can see from your end? And she said, oh yes, there is one. I was really quite shocked. I said, can you freeze it? So she said, no, I can't freeze it from here, you'll have to go into the branch. I said, well, put a temporary freeze on it for at least a few hours. I said, because that account shouldn't be there. I didn't open it, and I need to sort this out. I said, it is my money. Somehow it's my money. I don't know how. I said, but, you know, this needs to be sorted out. So she told me that she would put a freeze on it, but I do have to go down to the branch, which I did. And I managed to get, I didn't know what branch it was. It was all panic, 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 panic. It was like the first tangible bit of proof that all this stuff was even going on. And the young guy behind the counter at the Halifax verified who I was on the phone to this thing so as to access this account, and I froze it. I froze all outgoings. And because I wasn't going to have it transferred into my account, because I really wasn't sure what this money was about. Anyway, he did freeze it, and we started talking about something else. He went to put me through to someone else, and the line cut. Less than a minute after the line cut, the manager's come out, and he's on the attack to me. So obviously he's the one who cut the lines, and I'm telling him about this money in this account, and he's just laughing at me. I mean, he's laughing at me. I said, well, I need to speak to the fraud people. And he starts asking a few more questions, and then he just laughed me off again. Bearing in mind that I'd been sleeping in the park as well. So, you know, we're talking about large amounts of money, and there's me with half of the park on my jacket. Yeah, so I mean, the whole thing was really, I wasn't standing in the right place for anyone to think credible. But at the same time, he already knew that I was telling the truth. He already knew more about this account than I did. But this is the game they play. It's not about what you know, and it's not about what they know you know. It's about what they can convince you that they believe. It's the same as every time being taken to the hospital. I know they know that I'm sane. But as long as they can convince themselves that they think there's something wrong, they will just keep going. No, they're not particularly great actors, but they are all actors. And after a few stays, I realised it wasn't just me that had family creating chaos around me, stalking me, following me, starting arguments, you know, the chaos. And and the police abducting me, dragging me off to the hospital. There was other people that it was happening to as well. People that were very sane, very articulate, oozing wealth. And there was this Portuguese girl, and she was a lovely girl. And she said to me one day, we was doing art, and we spoke quite a bit anyway, I think because we was the only sane ones in there. Yeah, that statement's probably more than even I'm saying it. And she said to me, do you know, I'm actually an extremely wealthy person. And I remember my first thought was, wow, do I sound that crazy when I say it? I mean, seriously. And then I realised that the gameplay isn't just the police and the hospital. The gameplay starts with a family, neighbours, friends. And then they plant people. Then the police come. And take you up to the hospital. Then you've got nobody. No one you can rely on. Because you've had a few arguments here and there. They have not credible grounds, but they have something to link their game to. And then I noticed this girl had the same solicitor as me. He was very unhelpful. But then all he wants is power of attorney. I mean, think about it. Wealthy women, their partners or family want to trade them in. Don't want them, but want their money. The hospital's only too willing to help. Forge power of attorney. Being drugged out your mind. And then because I got through the first tribunal, now I've got a mock tribunal, which is a little bit silly on their part because I've already been to a tribunal and I know what goes on, and I know they're not secret, and I know that they are on the record. But no, all these tribunals thereafter were off the record, had nothing to do with why I was sectioned, and more to do with what medication they all thought that I should be on, and how long I should stay, between 3 to 6 months, on really heavy medication, regardless of what they try to pin it on. I've seen some shocking things in St Pancras Hospital, the Huntley Centre. And you know, when I say, you know, the people in there are crazier than, or we were saner, the sanest people there, I'm talking about the crazy people are the doctors and nurses. And the crazy people that are in the hospital, half of them are actors and actresses. So as if the doctors and nurses can't convince you to do something, the patients will then either frighten you into doing something. Oh, the last person that that said no, this, that and that happened. Or, you know, they have ways of manipulating you into doing what they want done. Or to force you. I mean, they threaten you all the time. I see this one woman. She, gentlest little thing. So sweet. The day I got there, at this particular time, she said, you can have my room. She did have the best room. I'm going home, she said. She had a coat on and everything. No, they laughed. You're not going home. I mean, she'd obviously been drugged. But, you know, she only looked a bit stoned. Until she didn't. Until she hit the floor. Trying to speak. Oh. And you know when somebody hits the ground, don't the nursing staff meant to rush to see what has happened to you? No, they rushed to guard her from everybody, to guard her from onlookers. They didn't once look at her. Could it be because they knew what was going to happen? They was expecting her to hit the ground, shaking, gasping, trying to speak. Shocking. I saw her for about less than a week, I think, after that. Shuffling about in a nappy. Being starved. Awful. I wonder how much her poor life was worth. These psychopaths. Another woman doing her nut. The one who collapsed, her name was Caroline. You know, steady flow of money, power of attorney. You know, when you've got a mental health sticker on your forehead or forged onto your medical records. Deemed incompetent of looking after your own finances, that your family or the hospital have to look after your finances. Probably got a few life insurance policies on that as well. Goodness, the last time I was in there, the police were bringing them in on a conveyor belt. People who absolutely were just flabbergasted that they was even brought into a place like that. You could see so obviously that no one was in danger of being harmed by them. They had no intention of hurting anyone or themselves. And they certainly weren't confused. I mean, they knew the police was taking them there for a reason, and they knew that the hospital was holding them there against their will. I mean, the natural thing would be to, like, what on earth is going on? And that would be the same reaction. And then, you know, there was this thing, going through Rishi's finances, and he has a trust, a blind one, that we're not allowed to know about. And I remember thinking, I wonder who that belongs to. Is it mine, or is it one of the other women in here? Because his parents was only a chemist, and they spent all their money on his education. I mean, if it was his trust fund, it wouldn't need to be blind, would it? I wonder if that's why he's holding on to power. Like, it's not because he wants to be the Prime Minister that everybody thinks he's a joke, but more he has to be Prime Minister to keep all the secrets. And then he wants Labour to win because anybody else might expose his secrets, might stem the flow of money going to their little clique of Tories and Labour MPs in the know. With their dodgy dealings and dodgy companies and ferrying people to their death or to a vegetable state, which is death. I mean, we are but our memories. So yeah, these states had a lot more to do with finances than it ever had to do with, you know, serial rapist MPs and the elite hunting group hunting me through the streets in my car, attacking me every time I shut my eyes. I mean, when these cars all disappeared and the police car whoa, straight past me, I thought the police had saved me. I thought, breakthrough, somebody's said something, somebody's found out the truth, and now they're going to help me. And I pulled off the motorway to be pulled by the police, and I thought, oh, I'm safe, I'm safe. Wishful thinking. I mean, they was taking no notice of me when I was saying about all these cars. They took me to a hotel and said, can you stay there the night? Can you afford it? Blah, 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 blah. You know, I was looking a bit tired. Well, I'd been hunted something like 16 hours straight. And I couldn't get a room at the Hilton in Cobham. And when I came out, the police were still there. And wow, this silver Rolls Royce, like, da-da, da-da, da-da. You know what I say, like a shark. You know, I could almost hear that in my ears. It could have been my heartbeat, like. And then the police grabbed me again, trying to drag me off to the car. They're trying to convince me to get into this car. I mean, I know what this is all about by now. But I didn't have the energy to run. And I couldn't drive. I mean, that would have just been silly. And this place weren't going to go nowhere. And I could, as they're, oh, but we're very concerned about you. And St Pancras Hospital are very concerned about you. And I've heard that so many times. And I said, well, you ought to tell St Pancras Hospital to not be concerned. I have nothing to do with them. I didn't even live in London by this point. I was living in Blackpool. That was my address. That is where I claimed from. So they had absolutely no legal, but their number, the police number, was the same police number as the ones that dragged me out the hotel in Edinburgh. So this is a little group of either police officers or it's the uniforms that a group of them share. And as they're talking to me, I can hear my friend Maxine on the police radio telling them all about my sons. And yeah, you can do this, but you can't do that. And yeah, and I've spoken to her sons, and her mum's this, and my mum's supposed to be dead. Obviously, she faked that one to keep hold of my inheritance. I mean, I literally turned around and I went, shut up, Max. And she did. Like, not that I needed any confirmation that it was her. And then they chloroformed me. Well, there was a space in between that where the silver Rolls Royce pulled up behind the car and 2 or 3 of the police officers went behind the car to speak to him. Yeah, when they come back, it's when they chloroformed me. And then I woke up in a nearby hospital. And when I say these doctors are insane, there was like this really big fat Pakistani doctor. A woman with dark curly hair. I had seen her before and I couldn't place what her title was. And then this blonde woman that looked like she'd been crying for about 3 weeks. The one with curly hair says to me, so what are you? So what do you mean, what am I? She went, no really, are you a mutant or something? I just laughed at her. Like as if I needed to tell her, oh no, actually I'm a human being. These are psychiatrists that supposedly gauge whether you're sane or not. I mean, come on. And this is because their drugs had no effect on me, or little or no effect on me. Because the attempts on my life didn't work. Because even them hunting me down, I mean, seriously, they needed to shut me up. They said they're very concerned about my memory. And at this point, yes, I should imagine they was extremely concerned about my memory. But I do believe God has a plan and a purpose for my life. And my memory needs to stay intact. Because I do have a lot to say. And I do believe it's really important. And them women that are being dragged off in that hospital, the ones that have died, the ones that are there being drugged and electrocuted at night. Because that's what they do, they sneak into your room, keep you unconscious with whatever they use, and electrocute you as well. They're like using everything and anything. I mean, one woman thought she had dementia because she had a bad memory. Obviously, because she's being drugged. But she was so delicate and frightened. I couldn't even tell her the true extent of what was going on. I tried to. These women need justice. A lot of women need help. Like right now, help. I mean, they're still after me now. They ring up pretending to be doctor's receptionists. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But they have nothing to do with my doctor. I haven't even been able to see my doctor for years. And then I get a phone call from the mental health people. And they say they've had a referral from the GP, you know, and how do you think we can help you? And this is from CORE. Supposedly it's from CORE. I should imagine they're in with it. They've probably transferred it. Too much heat on them since I've been in there a few times. So they've transferred it to CORE. And would I like to come in and discuss and all this? And I said, well, what GP referred me? So she said, Archway Medical Centre. Oh, I said, and what GP was it? She said, to the Archway Medical Centre. I mean, talk about thick. I said, the GP, the general practitioner. She went, no, the surgery referred. I said, there has to be a doctor. I said, you know what? You lot better stop harassing me. Leave my medical records alone. Yeah, and stop harassing me. And I think she was gone by then. She was one person, and she said her name was Victoria. Didn't have a clue what she was talking about. But they only have to believe that they're good actors. I mean, that was about, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. It's absolutely disgusting what these people are doing. It is absolutely disgusting to think what our government are doing, what the police are doing. And like I said, all right, it might well have been like a little rogue group of police officers, or just a rogue group with police officers' uniforms and cars. I mean, they are legitimate police cars. So, but every police station that I went in won't take a statement. I'm not allowed to make a report, and I'm not allowed to have a crime reference number. Although there was an investigation number that I overheard, which was 23301233. And then I did manage to speak to another police officer just last month, and obviously he was part of the little group, because he was going to look into things. Of course, my life is in danger and I'm being attacked every night, but he's not actually going to help me. He's going to investigate for a week, and of course he never got back to me. So it's just another ploy to see what I know, to see how dangerous it is. But like I was saying, every police station I went into, they were playing the same game. So whether it is people from the same little group behind the counters, the police station or sergeant is still allowing it. You know, whether they're informed as I go in that I have to wait for these certain people and they just have to fob me off, it doesn't matter. They're still involving themselves by going along with it. So every police station I went to, every hospital that I went to, no, it might not be the real doctors in the hospital and the real nurses in the major NHS hospitals, you know, accident and emergency and things like that, when I've gone there for my injuries. But their little group of people are the only ones that see me. Like as if I had my own private doctor that comes in. Of course, it's against my will and they're not there to help me. But the hospital are still allowing it to happen. That's the Whittington, Royal Free, King's College, UCH. I went out to a clinic in Battenball. I went to Moorfield. I've got things in my eye. I don't know if you're ever going to see it. Like cameras in my eye. I can't think what else would have been burnt into my eyeball. And into the corner of my eye. I don't know if someone can do a bit of camera magic with that. I've got scars all over my face. Things bolted into my head. They won't stop. They won't stop. How they're getting into this place, I will never know. I mean, I go back to being in Clacton-on-Sea and staying at this hotel. Everyone around me was just dying. I took some lady that I know, didn't know her well, only from the hotel. I took her shopping. Yeah, she died that night. Because we were talking. She was more their friend than mine. And I think they got all concerned that we was talking. And she paid for that. Then literally, I think it was the next night or the night after, someone else just died in exactly the same way. Then this, I mean, I'll call her a woman. The one my ex was with, of course I'm not supposed to have known that that was what was going on. Her boyfriend went missing. Then I got attacked. Then when I was at home, I got a phone call from this little woman called Carol. She had like a hunchback. She suffered with pain. She was in her 60s. But she was always happy. She used to make me laugh. Anyway, she must have got my telephone number and she called me when she found out that they'd tried to kill me. Or he'd tried to kill me. I mean, I could hardly speak where I'd been strangled. It was more like a whisper. Couldn't speak. And it hurt, and I couldn't wait to get off the phone. But it was really nice that somebody was concerned. It was the only concerned person. And the very next morning, my ex messages me on Facebook, oh, do you know Carol died last night? And I think that's when the penny drops. Who was doing it? And why? It seems to be anyone who had been talking to me, was concerned about me and was talking to me. Then my friend Rosie, she died of an OD and she didn't even take drugs. Isn't that crazy? These people are animals. Helped by animals in authority. I mean, I even had my social worker breaking into my house. 3 times I caught her. Caught her once with a locksmith. Because when I caught her the first time, she had my keys, I changed my locks. And then there she was again. She's in my place. Of course, my family, you know, and I used to give my mum a spare set of my keys in case I lost my keys. So I stopped doing that. Changed my locks again. And there she was again with a locksmith. You know, that's why, you know, when I got back to London, my home help is cancelled. They've got all these discrepancies with the finances, obviously completely made up just to stop it, but it's just to put more pressure on me. Then my benefits get stopped. So I've got no money, I've got no help. I'm being stalked, attacked, harassed, hacked. I couldn't even, I mean, I am explaining it. But I couldn't even believe it myself if it wasn't for the fact that I was absolutely 100% experiencing it. The difference is I could kind of see what they was doing. Even if at first I didn't believe what I was seeing. And yeah, they're coming on to, well, it's 2004 now, from 2019. Year after year after year of daily attacks, chasing me, harassing me, stalking me. Paying God knows who to do God knows what. I've been all over the UK. Harassed, stalked, attacked, drugged, beaten, raped. Harassed about my benefits on a regular basis, but at least I was getting it from when I left. Yeah, from when I got to Edinburgh, I suppose. after leaving the HS2 camp, protest camp, and I was attacked by everybody there. In the most horrendous way. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 people there when I got there. There was about 30. That came straight after me. Watching my every move, following me everywhere. They said one day they needed a tenner to go towards getting a camera because they need to do some filming. And then somebody else goes, yeah, we're making a snuff film. Like as if it's a joke. And they already had a whole bug. You know, they're psychopaths. Without actually saying it to you in a serious way, they let you know what they're doing. I was in a terrible, terrible state there. Yeah. Well, I think I've kind of covered quite a lot of ground here, and I think, please, you know, by the time this gets out anyway, because I'm always shadow banned, I'm always blocked. But, you know, one day this might get out. And I might get out. And somebody, if not a lot of people, might get on the phone to the authorities and say, what is happening about Mrs. Angela Taylor, who's constantly being attacked, who have got the prison institutions, got her in a cyber custody, so she can't phone or use the internet. Her mail stopped. She's ignored by the police or abducted by them. Ignored by the hospital, unless it's to wipe my memory. Is anybody going to help me? I even spoke to Jeremy Corbyn, who said he was going to send me an appointment to speak to him. And I said, you can't send me an appointment. He said, I will have someone deliver it by hand, which never happened. I suppose he does have all the election stuff going on at the moment. So here, between the hospitals, police, social services, the crisis team at the hospital, and the hospital social services, neighbours, friends, family, all with financial incentives. Complete strangers. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. There is a few other videos that I've made. Loads of videos that I've made under different platforms. If you type in my name in the search box, Mrs. Angela Taylor, or Angela Taylor, Tayler, you might get a few of them. I don't take donations. I'm not monetized. I can't get anything. I can't even keep an email account. So, it's no point. But yeah, share it about. Get me some help. Please. Until then.